Disagreeing or ignoring another opinion or another way of life doesn't make it go away. We've had to share things in Northern Ireland for a while now. For a long time we didn't, and it got us nowhere. Sometimes compromise is slow, frustrating, torturous. Sometimes it doesn't happen at all, but we are still sharing the same space.
It's been a month since Patrick Kielty buried his mother, and yet the silence around Cat Deeley's absence still echoes louder than any tribute. Time has moved on, the headlines have faded, This Morning continues its glossy broadcast schedule, and Cat's smile is back on screen. But one question still hangs in the air. Where was she when her husband needed her most? Let's rewind. On that cold March morning in County Down, Patrick Kielty, broken, sleepless, and hollow, carried his mother's coffin through the same village where he grew up. It was a moment steeped in heartbreak and history. The boy who once lost his father to the Troubles was now saying goodbye to his mother, the woman who raised him through grief and fear. His brothers stood beside him. Family, friends, and neighbors filled the church pews. But one face was missing, his wife's.
Here when Cat was absent from Patrick's mom Mary's funeral. The This Morning host was notably missing from the mournful occasion in Dundrum, Ireland in February. Late Show host was pictured carrying his mum's coffin a week after she died at her home in Codown.
Cat Deeley wasn't there. She was 300 miles away, sitting on the This Morning sofa, chatting through celebrity gossip and lifestyle tips as though nothing in her world had changed. Her husband's world was collapsing. Hers was still perfectly lit for daytime TV. And that's where the criticism begins. Because even a month later, fans and observers haven't forgotten. They've forgiven less. Cat's team rushed to explain at the time.
Spokesman for Cat told the Mail at the time, Cat remained at home to be there for her two young children before and after school on this very sad day. Cat and Patrick have two sons, Milo, 8, and James, 5.
It sounded noble, but it also sounded convenient. Because that same morning, she wasn't home consoling them. She was on live television, laughing through commercial breaks. It's a contradiction no PR statement can fix. What message does that send? That ratings come before reality? That public image matters more than private loyalty? Because let's be honest, there were options. This Morning has a rotating team of stand-in hosts. Alison Hammond, Josie Gibson, Rochelle Humes. Any of them could have stepped in. ITV would have understood. The audience would have understood. Everyone would have understood. Except Cat didn't step back. She stepped on camera. And maybe that's the most uncomfortable part of this story, that a woman who built her career on being warm, relatable, and emotionally in tune somehow failed to read the room when it mattered most. Her absence wasn't just physical, it was emotional. It left a shadow over her marriage, and it left viewers wondering if Cat Deeley has quietly crossed from being a beloved presenter into something colder, a brand that feels detached, rehearsed, and corporate. Meanwhile, Patrick hasn't said a word. Not one interview, not one comment. Just quiet strength, the kind that comes from a lifetime of tragedy. Remember, this is a man who lost his father to political violence at 16. A man who had to bury his dad with cameras flashing, the headlines screaming IRA link over his family's grief. He knows how to survive public pain. But this, losing his mother while the world watches his wife choose work over him, must cut deeper than he'd ever admit. His mother, Mary Kielty, was no ordinary woman. She was his anchor, his reason to keep going after the Troubles stole his father. She raised 3 sons alone, never remarried, never gave up. Patrick once said she was secretly delighted when he got the Late Show gig. She represented everything pure about family, sacrifice, loyalty, love. So imagine how heavy it must have been for him to lower her coffin into the ground and glance to his side, realizing the woman he shares his life with couldn't even be there. Some fans tried to defend Cat. They said she probably didn't want to draw paparazzi attention to the funeral, that her presence could have turned it into a media frenzy. Maybe, but the truth is, she's never been camera shy before. And her decision to appear live on air that same day completely dismantles that argument. If she truly wanted privacy, she could have stayed quietly off camera, away from both the church and the studio. Instead, she chose visibility, and that choice spoke volumes. And now, a month later, Patrick is back at work, keeping his composure as always. But that empty moment lingers, frozen in time. The photo of him carrying the coffin, jaw clenched, eyes heavy, is one that tells you everything words can't. It's the image of a man who's used to standing alone. Cat, on the other hand, seems to have moved on entirely. Hosting segments, posing for ITV promos, laughing with Ben Shepherd, as though the controversy never happened. No acknowledgement. No public reflection. Just business as usual. And that's exactly what people find unsettling, that eerie sense that she's trying to outsmile the scandal, hoping we'll forget. But people don't forget. Especially not when something feels off. Because this wasn't about fame, it was about family. It wasn't about camera time, it was about compassion. And Kat's decision, however she justifies it, broke that unspoken code of empathy that binds loved ones together when tragedy hits. Now, whispers are growing louder, that Patrick's silence isn't peace, it's distance. That the couple's emotional gap is widening behind closed doors. Maybe they'll patch it up, maybe they already have, but for many, the damage was done the moment she said, "I'll stay in London." A month has passed, but the symbolism remains. One carried the coffin, the other carried on. And sometimes, silence can expose more truth than any statement ever will. So the real question now isn't why Cat missed the funeral. It's what that absence revealed. Because for the first time, Britain's golden TV couple looks fractured, not by scandal, but by something far more human, the quiet failure to show up when it mattered most. Don't forget to subscribe, because if the past month is any clue, the story between Cat Deeley and Patrick Kielty might only be getting started.